What I love most about Willow Park Baptist is probably Preacher Man.
So I feel God's presence here. You can feel God's presence. It's so special every time you walk into this church.
You know, it's like coming to church is like coming to see all my friends and family.
We love the people. And obviously the preaching, but it's the people that really make a church.
I just feel renewed when I come here every Sunday, ready to attack the week.
Like, there's a lot of great preachers out there and stuff, but the fact that he takes the time to really get to know you, and I think that's a really big part of why this church is the way that it is.
I was getting some pictures here of the Willow Park area, and this is right under Interstate 30. I'm taking these pictures, and just to the south of Interstate is Ramada Inn, and then just 2 blocks south of the Interstate is the new church building that we're involved in, which will be Willow Park Baptist Church. And now here in June of this year, we've already got 127 members, so everything's going really good.
The night I got saved, I was 13 years old, and there was a guy there by the name of Dr. Jerry Tolles.
God never remains in debt to anyone. What do you mean, preacher? He always pays what he owes.
He and I became friends that day, just randomly. I mean, he's a grown adult pastor, and I'm just a kid that gets saved. But our lives have been connected from that moment on. And you talk about a teaching machine, you talk about a building machine, you talk about a great man. Dr. Jerry Tolles and his wife April are the best. And everything we have here today is because they stepped out by faith. And I mean, they stepped out with nothing. And this is all the result of Jerry and April's faith. And there was 14 people the first night, and they were taping songbooks together and praying. And what we have now is because those 14 people gathered in that room. And so we'll always be eternally grateful for Dr. Jerry Tolles and his wife, Miss April. They're wonderful, wonderful people.
The best way to overcome frustration, the best way to overcome discouragement, the best way to be positive in our negative world, ladies and gentlemen, is to rejoice in the Lord.
I have very few regrets in life, but one of them is for my people, my church, that they didn't get to know Dr. Tolles like I knew him. And man, he called me one day. We were going to a preacher's meeting, and on the way over there, I mean, I'm a blowing and going evangelist, and he says, I want you to take the church. Well, he did not know we'd been praying about what God's will was for our life, but it was really a wonderful moment. I can tell you exactly where we was at on I-20, going up the hill, going into Duncanville. When he said that to me, I was his biggest fan. He was always my fan, and so it was never we were just two friends that loved each other, and I'm very grateful that I got to follow him. Very grateful for what he built.
He has taken all my burdens and he's washed my sins away. I've got joy. I've got joy. 'Cause when I rise in the morning, see the day God has made, sunshine or storm, and you're still gonna hear me say, I've got joy. I've got joy. I've got joy.
Everything in Parker County was growing, especially East Parker County. When you come out of Fort Worth and come to East Parker County, they had an article one day that said 8,714 homes are going to come in a one-time housing edition. And man, I can remember we were in debt up to our eyes. We didn't have a whole lot of revenue. We were just getting started as far as in our growth. But I knew I would get up out of bed at night and just start praying, God, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And we had 38 acres next to the old church that we tried to buy. It was kind of a hoodwinking, and God stopped us. And that very day, there was a buddy of mine. He's a lifelong best buddy. His name's Jim Martin. And if it hadn't been for Jim calling me that day and saying, hey, I've got some property, he showed me the 40 acres where the hospital's at, and then it sold, and then our friend Kyle Wilkes came over and got some of this property over the back to the east, and then there was 82 acres left. And Jim said, man, I'll give the deal of the century. It's $4.7 million. The bank said they were going to help us with it. They backed up the Friday before we were supposed to close on a Tuesday. I went to a funeral for an old preacher, a guy named Truman Walker that I love. And I went to his funeral, and I'm driving back, and I'm where 20 and 30 meet together. And I have to call Jim and say, Jim, look, man, the bank backed up. I don't know what to do. And he said, okay. He came to me 3 times, the same day, 3 times. Are you supposed to have this property? And I said, yes. Are you supposed to have this property? Yes. Are you supposed to have this property? Yes. And finally, the last time he said, well, how much money do you have in the bank? I said, we've saved up $500,000. He said, that's what I've got in the property. I've got my partners. We've already talked about it. We'll own or finance it. It's your property.
Really, since the beginning that we heard about the new facility from the old facility where we began at, has just been total excitement, being a part of it, being involved in it, tithing for it. I mean, just everything just gives you an sense of overwhelming being a part of something that you help build from the ground up, and the excitement you see within everyone. And just at times you didn't think it ever was going to happen, but just passing by and coming to visit on occasion, you could see where the good Lord was leading us. I mean, it's totally amazing today.
We felt very anxious waiting for the new facility. We would drive by randomly just to see the progress. And then the first service that we had before it was complete, we had a Sunday Night Live service in the new facility, brought our lawn chairs. It was an amazing service. It was amazing to see what God was doing in our church.
Good morning. It's good to see you at Willow Park Baptist Church. Come on, stand with us. Let's get ready to sing. Oh yeah. Let's lift it up together. I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw the darkness run for cover.
It was one of those things like you don't know what you don't know, but you know something is great. You know something is going to be happening. And so it really was one of those moments where you knew that things were going to change, but probably didn't have a full appreciation for what that meant. I think what that shows is we have an incredible God that can do incredible things. Seeing our church's history from day one and how God used us in the facility that we previously had to where God has put us today, and probably some of the mountains that had to be moved, and what God is doing through this church, reaching souls for Christ, ministering to people who need it, reaching people who need family and who need connection. Just knowing where we were in our old building and the limitations we had to where we are today, it's just amazing.
It's opened up so many more doors to have new people, because now you have more of an area for more people to come in and congregate together as a bigger family.
One of the things that we understand is if you want to find meaningful relationships in a church, you need to involve yourself in the church and the ministries of the church. And to me, those go hand in hand. You're going to find friends, you're going to find relationships, and you're going to be, find a home. That would be something that would be one of the words that I would use for describing Willow Park, is that it's home. And it's hard to imagine being in another location, being in another church just during this time in our life. It really is. We have a place to be, a place to serve, and people that we know and love that are here. So that's the word I would use.
When Jesus was addressing his disciples, he told them, I will build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The church is going to come under attack. If you're a biblical church, if you're a soul-winning church, if you're a spirit-filled church, it just goes with the territory. And yet Jesus told him, he said, if you love me, you're going to love what I love. And Jesus loved the church. And it's just beyond comprehension to me how someone can say, I'm saved, I love Jesus, but I don't love the church. That doesn't go together. I don't understand people that attack the church. And I will just tell you this, that as a church, we've seen God do the miraculous. But there's been a price that's been paid for it. But it's worth it. One day we're going to stand before God. One day we're going to give an account. And one day we're going to be glad that we were faithful. Moreover, it's required of a steward that a man be found faithful. Jesus said, forsake not the assemblies of ourselves together, and so much more as you see the day approaching. What is that day? It's when Jesus comes back. We're not living for now. Hey, if Jesus tarries is coming for the next 30 years, hey man, hang on, because the best is yet to come. And if he comes back, they can have this building, we're going to go to heaven. Because our best days are not here. Our best days are when we stand before God. Our best days are when we've been faithful to the cause of Christ. and been unashamed of the gospel. Paul said, "For I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth." We believe that God is in everyone that believeth God. He's a whosoever will, and we want the world to know that Jesus saves. So our best days are moving forward.